I noticed this right before this review. Instead of variant, it says Black History Month variant. What other variant gets that treatment? This is a pattern that's picked up, I noticed in June, where they have a business strategy called Black. Not just Marvel, everyone. And I don't like it being used that way. It's a skin color, not a. You don't treat it that way. You know what no one's ever asked for? That. The handout stuff. You do equality. I mentioned this in the Disney Plus talk that I did earlier, a video before, how it says celebrate Black stories. How is that one of the topics? If you're proud of your Black stories, don't show me that because you want to get the points. Black, yeah, black, it's black, black. Disney, yeah. That's what that is. Instead, infuse the Black stories into the regular algorithm. Prioritize them if. Prioritize diversity. Let me say, because I just said it, we're not looking for handouts. Prioritize diversity. If someone is watching Rapunzel and someone is watching Lilo and Stitch, and then someone wants to see Frozen, you know what they probably also want to see? The movie where you guys got a black princess. Put that in there. Feature it where it belongs instead of putting in 10 white movies like Snow White, white. So just give me diversity and make it equal, but you don't gotta go there and make it seem like you're scoring points. The Champions comic issue number 4 was good. Previously on Champions, we had the X-Men show up and they said, listen, these guys are under Krakoan protection. And I'm like, oh, finally people are gonna go to Krakoa who are not mutants. That's not true. Pixie pulls up. Sihal Noverum Chinoth takes them to Riri Williams' headquarters in Chicago, where Spidey smells bad. And that's when you know you have a female writer, when they're going to factor in the hygiene. I would have not thought of that. Pixie is a character from the Academy X New X-Men. So was Kevin Ford. I think someone's been reading their new X-Men. Why? Maybe to understand who the Dust character is who was on this team. You know what I didn't like about the Dust character who was on this team? She says, tell them, Scott. You're on a mission. In a mission, we use code names. Also, it's Mr. Summers. Ray is more formal than that, from what I've read. Well, he's going to tell them, and it's Viv Vision. Riri does something that she commonly does nowadays. She cries. This is a crying character. This is like the 4th time I've noticed it in Ewing's writing. They'll also learn the bad news that you guys are not mutants. And I love the way that she turns her back. Miles does too. And not Kamala, who was in a fight in Humans vs. X-Men. But of all the people who are mad at the mutants, it's these guys. Sorry, but Double M was on your team, but Miles, Sam, and Riri were not. Riri Williams has a history with mutants, which is when she fights Brian Michael Bendis' created characters, since Brian Michael Bendis created Riri Williams, and he wants to use his characters that he made. Unfortunately, they're all mutants, and she does not have a good record with mutants. She joins the Champions after Scott Summers leaves. Is it because he's a mutant? I've thought about making that video of, is Riri Williams racist? Not race, black, white. Race as in the Homo sapiens and the Homo superiors. But I don't know how to do that video without coming off as a victory for Comicsgate. So if I would have to have humor in it or whatnot. We go to Senator Jeffrey Patrick from Washington, D.C. And he's talking about how he's got to get this win and it's got to be symbolic. He was making sense at first, but no, you're just a dick. So he's not going to be the threat in here because, as his assistant tells him, they're under mutant protection. Okay, we'll deal with Cradle in the next one, in the climactic finale. Instead, the threat here is going to be what Namor's people, one of his minions, is effing shit up. And it's really not that black and white. Here comes Aurora. Bob Quinn has an eye for drawing ships. I love the way it looked. And look, Storm is on this page. I wonder what would happen if Ironheart met with Storm. Don't have to. Picture is worth 1,000 words. Storm is amongst my favorite characters. Top 15. Kamala Khan. Sam. I'm not a Miles guy. Okay? Top characters. And then there's Dust. And then there's Scott Summers. And then there's Ironheart, who are interchangeable at times with my top character, Black Panther 2. But subjectively speaking, I'm reading a comic where all of my favorite characters who don't traditionally mix are mixing. And Federico Blee is drawing it. Coloring it. It was amazing. So that's the sentiments that Riri has for Storm. The very next panel, you're going to see they're eating breakfast. I love how instead of changing a page to get to the next morning, Ewing has a story to write. So she's going to cram that in there and squeeze it in. I lose nothing from it. So they're eating breakfast. There's bacon on the table, which is why Kamala isn't there. Instead, she's over here. And Nova's actually going to have like a big message of just like, let them be, let them hate. What was it here? Let them be mad. You be Ms. Marvel. And he offers her a hand. Sam gets it. Sam is a galaxy space champion. He's not your regular Earth hero. He didn't need the lesson that the Marauders are gonna teach them later. So like I said, this dude, his name is Atuma. Atuma is gonna attack a nearby ship, and it is confusing because he's mad based on the pollution and the nasty shit that the people are doing. But what the people are doing isn't worse than what he's doing, which is literally gonna go and kill them. The champions do what the champions do, and that's save the humans. That's what they're about. The little guy. While the superheroes are doing the big destructive stuff, we the champions do this. And the X-Men are gonna attack the actual threat, and they're gonna be the top tier heroes. We're gonna have a discussion about wrong and right. We're gonna talk to these humans and say, better change your ways and think about it. And Kamala's gonna ask, that was awesome, but wait, how did you know which side to be on? Do X-Men usually care about like human problems? Asks Miles. I'm gonna read this whole page. Yeah, after all that, I'm not clear on who the good guys were and who the bad guys were. Kate says, that's how it goes more often than not. Storm says, such lines are uncertain. They are as sand in the wind. That was very Storm. Good job, Eve Ewing. And then Kate says, we face each fight as it comes. We try to figure out who needs help. Storm, who is suffering and who's using their power to harm. I love how they go from her to her to her, and then later on, Pyro even has something to say. It's a group message that's just understood by them. Do or do not. There is no try. Yoda with that. Yoda summarized all that because he's Yoda. When 900-year-olds, you are something. We cut back to Vision, to Vivision. She's talking to the grandma, the library, and she's gonna explain to her that I actually did know who you were. Yeah, this was me when I was younger. And we get a little lesson out of Black history. It's useful. And you know what we don't need is Black History Month. We should have Black history as part of every curriculum in school without it having its own. Just the way we learn about World War II. You know what we learned about when we were younger? About how Canada started. We learned about our relations with natives, and that took us for like the first 8 school years or so. After that, grade 10 history, it's World War II for the most part, and other things. You know what would be another history class that would be useful? Slavery, Black history, like literally just slavery. Because there are practical lessons in which we can learn from that are more relevant than any other history that we could be talking about. If you want to make a case for the Nazi Germany in World War II, that's useful too. That helps. I would keep that one, but I can't think of, I could argue that one, but I can't think of a more practical history that we need to be doing. So that's why whenever I see it said Black History Month over here, I'm usually turned off by Black History Month, the tokenization stuff, not for me. Maybe there was a time when it was necessary, fine. And I recognize Black History Week existed, and that was in the month of February. So to extend it to Black History Month, it makes sense. I get that part. I've heard about that part, but it's also a punchline too because it's the shortest month of the year. But I get the origins of it. But I just want Black history to exist and be treated equally. That's big over here on Chillmonger. So, big heroic final shot. They're going to confront Cradle head on. Did the champions not grow in this 5-issue arc? It's not even done yet. Good stuff. Issue 6 is going to be a new writer, but good stuff. Before I started this review, I looked over at this to show you Dust. This is how they treat Dust in the other books. So this is Vita Ayala, New Mutants. She's with the Junior Squad. What? Have you not been anointed in X-Men Second Coming during the Schism event? I know it looked like you joined Wolverine for a minute, but Dust joined Cyclops' team. And Jason Aaron even made that clear in his Wolverine and the X-Men. And Dust is just not being respected right now over at Marvel.